a beautiful late August day here in central North Carolina, Zone 8A. And for us, pepper season is in full swing. But one of my favorite things to do is to make fermented hot sauce. And for that, I'll typically use either our cayenne peppers or our habanero peppers. So let me finish picking these cayenne peppers, and then I'll show you how we ferment them to make these hot sauces. First thing we're going to need, obviously, is our cayenne peppers that we just picked. Then we're going to have mason jar with a screw top lid, glass weight to hold the product down in the brine, as well as a fermentation lid. Now you can use a cloth and a rubber band if you want, but I have found these fermentation lids to have much better success than the cloth does, and it's a lot easier to work with. Finally, we're going to use this pickling salt to mix with some water to create our brine. But all of these products here, I'll put down in the description box below so you can go and check them out online. Brine mixture is a simple mix of just water and salt. I look to try to create about a 4% salt ratio to water. You can weigh that out, but the easiest thing I find is that 1 tablespoon for every 2 cups gives you just about that percentage point. So I'll just mix that up, make sure it's all dissolved, and then I'll set this to the side while I'm cutting up all the peppers. When it comes to cutting up these cayennes, I usually try to just get them somewhere about, I'd say, 1/2 inch or so pieces. You can cut them a little bit smaller if you want, but I don't find that to be really necessary. Another thing is, depending upon how hot you want it, you may want to de-seed it. I just let the seeds stay because we're looking for the heat when we're making this sauce. We filled the peppers into the jar, and as you can see, they're just a little bit more than 3/4 of the way full. And the reason for that is to leave room for these glass weights that I'll be putting on after I pour the brine. Now, when it comes to the brine, we want to make sure that we get all the peppers covered, but we just go a little bit past the current height of the peppers. We don't want to take that brine all the way to the top because obviously once you put the weight in, you'll just have yourself a mess. Now, the purpose of these weights is just to make sure that the peppers stay down below in the brine solution. Once you have that, you're just going to take these fermentation lids. It'll allow for air to come out, but not to come in. And you'll treat it just the same way you would if you were canning a jar or something like that. That you just place it on top and then grab these screw tops and just tighten it down. The fermentation process takes probably about 7 days. I've seen where some people will do it in only 4 days. Some will go even longer, but I find 7 days, maybe up to 10 days is the perfect amount of time. And after the first day or two, you're going to start to see bubbles coming up here. And that's a sign that your fermentation process is working. So the next thing I'm doing is just taking these 2 jars and setting them on the countertop in the kitchen. And I'll just keep an eye on them, but I shouldn't have to do anything for the next week. So it's day 3. Brought these jars outside just to show you, but the fermentation process is beginning with the bubbles are now starting to come up here to the top. Not a lot, but slowly but surely this will increase over the next coming days. And then as we get to days 7 and 8, those bubbles will once again subside down to just a minimal amount, and we know we're getting near the end of the process. Day 6, while we're still getting some of the bubbles to come up, we're not getting as many, but you can start to tell also there is a smell, and it is a good smell. And these fermented peppers are just about ready to turn into hot sauce. We've made it to day 8, and while there is still a little bit of bubbles here going on, it's definitely slowed down. So it's time to go to the next step, which is to take these peppers and brine, pop them into this jar, and run them through the blender to puree the whole thing. Now, the first thing we're also going to want to make sure we do here is check to make sure that we don't have any mold issues. That's where these fermentation lids have come in fantastic. When I used to use just the cloth cover, I would have my fail rates of probably about 50% because there would just be mold in this and I'd have to throw it out. So definitely worth the investment in my opinion for these fermentation lids. So now what we're gonna do is just fish out that glass top weight that was in here, put that to the side, then grab peppers and brine all together and get ready to mix this up. The other thing you're going to notice as soon as you open up this lid is that fantastic smell of the fermented peppers. Storage, we're just going to put it all into this glass container and put it in the fridge, take it out when we need to. If you want your hot sauce to be a little bit on the thicker side, you can just add a little bit less of the brine to the mixture here when you're doing the blending process. But other than that, this will last us up to about 6 months in the fridge. We'll just use it when we want.
Thanks so much for watching. If you got any questions or suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below, and we'll see you on the next video.